Welcome to this episode of the Heartbeat for Hire podcast. I feature Olympians, CEOs, disruptors, authors, professional athletes, and the best of the best, where they share their stories of resilience with my lens on leadership and culture. Let's get started. Greetings and welcome to this episode of the Heartbeat for Hire podcast. 3 things you will learn from this episode are: number 1, what modern brand building looks like; number 2, how marketing has changed over the last decade, and it has; and number 3, the role of mental health in modern business today. What do you get when you combine a whip-smart perspective on branding, a killer book called There's No Room Service at the Psych Ward, a deeply decorated career, and a heart to match? You get Michael Stutts. Michael has held senior executive C-suite roles at Dollar Shave Club, Bloomin Brands, Azamara Cruises, and he made partner at Boston Consulting Group. He has a humorous and humble perspective on it all. Thrilled to welcome him to the show. Cool.
I'm so happy to be here.
It
Thank
is
you.
an absolute treat to have you. So I start the show the same every time, and I always ask my guests to share a little of your story.
Yeah, so my dad was a banker and my mom was a TV star. So I guess when you combine those two things, you get somebody who's an insecure overachiever, which is how I've always described myself. But B, somebody who's got a little bit of a creative side and an analytical side. And I'm still spending my whole career figuring out what best to use that for. So I've spent 16 years in client services between finance and management consulting. And then since then, I've been working with really fun brands in hospitality, travel, and now razors, I guess.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it's been a really fun career. And like I said, I'm still trying to figure it out. And then along the way, I've had some stumbles, made some mistakes, but learned a lot about the importance of mental health. I've had a complete breakdown and a ongoing recovery. So it's part of my story, and I think it's part of what I'm here for, is to
Well,
tell other people in
you,
positions like mine that that's part of it.
you are definitely not the first person to have a story like this on this show, and it's something I think is so important that we talk about. And so let's start there. Let's talk a little bit about your book and a little bit about the story of what happened to you.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm not an author. I'm barely even a reader. Uh, the short version is that, I was born with some special features or bugs, whatever you want to call it, in my brain that, I'm no doctor, but stuff about serotonin and how I process things. And, even growing up, I knew there was something a little off, and small things would become giant fears. And I hid it throughout my whole life, you know, at different ages, different things. But I'd say that in my 30s, as I was coming up through the self-medication of working very, very hard, focusing on promotions and the next
Yeah.
thing and traveling and excitement, but also a lot of alcohol and a lot of other ways you can just soothe
Oh,
and
yeah.
hide those feelings. It all came to a head about 3 years ago in 2022. And I had the darkest thought you could have. And I said, you
Mm.
know what? This is not how I want to live my life. And I went and got help, went to an inpatient facility, and
Mhm.
I was there for 40 days. And I can tell you, if you ever have the opportunity to go 40 days without a phone,
Oh, it's good for you.
take it. Yeah.
For you.
So I came out of it, and it's not like you just come out and everything's perfect and you're fixed.
Mhm.
But I had a lot of time on my hands, and I started writing, and writing something I've always been interested in. I guess people told me I was pretty good at it, and I just wanted to remember the experience. And obviously, you don't have pictures,
Mhm.
so I wrote everything out, and I started sharing it with people, and they said, "Oh, that could probably help someone." And it turned into a book. It got published, and I guess I'm an author now.
Yes, you are an author, and no one can take that away from you. It's a great club to be a part of. So welcome. Um,
Yeah, and the tag I give to it is it's the most fun you'll ever have reading about a mental breakdown.
mm,
It's a serious topic in a light tone, and for those kids who grew up in the '80s, every chapter is named after a song from 1987. So
Yes, I
little
love
Easter
that.
egg.
So let's talk a little bit about the title because the title is just it just grabs you. It's so clever and it's there's no room service in the psych ward. So where did that come from? It's just so cheeky, but spot on. So what does it mean? Where did it come from?
I remember waking up the first couple of days there and I was comparing it to my big, exciting management consulting life when I was staying at, fancy hotels. And it's like, gosh, this is very different from where I was before. Like, yeah, there's no room service. And
No.
that was it. And then it just became like in marketing, you got to have a hook. And I'm a big believer in brands and products that pretty much explain what it is and does.
Yeah.
And so, and you just got to grab eyes. So that was it.
So that's a perfect segue to talk about branding, especially just how it's changed over the last decade. And I think it really has with the evolution of social media. But share your perspective because you're the chief brand officer for Dollar Shave Club, which my gosh, what a phenomenal brand, what a recognizable brand. Talk a little bit about that journey and what you've seen from changes from a marketing perspective.
Yeah, I'm extremely blessed to be working for a brand that is so powerful and has such recognition. We say it all the time that and we punch above our weight in terms of the size and the awareness and the love for our brand. It's bigger than our company. And we, to some degree, our company is responsible for how marketing has changed
Mm,
in the last 10, 15 years. So I've only been at Dollar Shave for 4 months. So I'm standing on the shoulders of people like Mike Dubin who set this whole thing up for us. But um, branding now has to be about storytelling.
oh yeah.
And it can't just be you have a great product at a great price. Let's just be honest. There's too many products out there.
Oh God, yeah.
It's very rare that something comes along and you're like, oh, I really I've never heard of this thing and I absolutely need it. Usually you're replacing something that you already have.
Mhm.
And that was our story, right? It was the industry is fooling you. We have a really good product at a low price, and you should choose us because the industry is fooling you. And it's that hook that is so necessary. And that I've worked with lots of brands over time, and the ones that work, grow, matter, they have an easy hook that breaks a compromise or it solves a problem. And so if you don't have that, you just can't spend your way to being, top of mind brand anymore.
So can you talk a little bit about what's behind Dollar Shave Club for anybody that doesn't know? I mean, they're going to be pretty excited once they figure it out, but I mean, it sounds pretty simple, but tell people why it works and what it's all about.
Yeah, so we are the origin story is a viral video, one of the first corporate viral videos back in the early 2010s. And the whole story was our founder had a large razors that he had come by, and Gillette, the incumbent,
Hmm.
spent lots of money, lots of marketing for very expensive razors. And they're
Yes.
very good razors, let's be clear. Um, but his pitch was you can save money on really good razors because we don't pay Roger Federer to be in our
Yep.
commercials, right? And
Yeah.
so it was this idea of we're looking out for you, the customer.
Hmm.
We're not looking out for Roger Federer and Tom Brady and
Yep.
whoever, these big athletes are. So it's as of now, we've changed hands a few times. Now we're independent, private equity backed. We're fully vertically integrated. We make our razors in Israel and
Mhm.
we can move fast and we have a direct to consumer model. We also are in retail. We're in Target, Walmart, Amazon, and yeah, it's
Well,
a
and let's just
fantastic.
talk about the quality
Yeah,
because
sure.
I think people, you see these $12 razors and higher, and what you're paying for is a piece of plastic that ends up on a beach somewhere, in a landfill. Why is this even on the same level, or is it better?
Yeah, we have a great quality product that's getting even better this fall. We've invested in we're calling it our best razor ever, and it's going to be awesome. I use it personally in my real life. I'm lucky enough to have advanced copies of
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, but it really comes down to the razor industry. As long as you have a really good razor, it is kind of a commodity.
It
And
is.
so it does to some degree come down to price, but it also comes down to a brand that you know that you can trust
Mhm.
is not fooling with you.
Yeah.
And that's again, I keep saying customer advocacy, but that's an angle that we take because we really do believe in it.
Well, in the land of, everyone's an influencer and testimonials are everything. I mean, marketing like the shouting into the void approach doesn't really work anymore. So you really do need to have that step above that says we don't feel like you should pay $15 for a razor or $10 for a razor. We think that you can get the same quality, if not better, at a lower price. And
Right.
what consumer doesn't want that? I
Yeah.
mean, that's a no-brainer. So let's talk a little bit about marketing trends and just, obviously this has its own space, but you worked for other companies too. And, what have you noticed as kind of the big animal picture changes that's happened recently?
Yeah, I'd say the big macro trend that everybody knows is that you've got to get more personal with people. And my observation is that a lot of companies spent a lot of money, a lot of time to create very complex personalization systems in terms of the digital experience, getting an
Mhm.
email that's got a headline that's tailored to me. And there's great brands like Fanatics that know exactly when to hit me when my, North Carolina Tar Heels win a basketball game.
The
Here's an
merch.
ad for, something to buy. And the
Yeah.
rare occasion that the Carolina Panthers win a game, here, here's a great shirt you're gonna love. So that stuff's great. But I think what really eclipsed that was, I hate the word influencer, but fine, influencers.
Yeah.
It's really about someone that you relate to and somebody that you respect, whether you know them or not. If they say that something is great,
Yeah.
then cool. So that's one obvious trend, and I've had to get comfortable with this world of using influencers,
Yeah.
and it's what we do. The other thing is just maintaining relevance outside of just your core product, right? Like people shave at most once a day, right? And
Mhm.
on average, it's less than that, right? Like I shave 1.5 times per week.
Mhm.
Uh, but how can you as a brand maintain relevance beyond that? And so that's something we've been really focused on. And we're trying to find moments where we can be part of people's lives
Yeah.
without it being just about razors. And I'll give you an example. We started doing billboards, digital billboards in cities to capitalize on big zeitgeist moments. And usually they're in sports.
Mm.
So Luka Doncic trade happens. Everyone in Dallas is freaking out. We put up billboards days later
Mhm.
that said, "Hey Dallas, here's a better trade. Ditch your overpriced razor,
Yeah.
pick up, Dollar
Yeah.
Shave Club."
But I
And
mean,
then,
you're hitting them right in the sweet spot.
well,
That's
and then we have one in Cleveland right now, in Cleveland Browns colors, first round quality, fifth round price, in reference to Shador Sanders.
yeah. Yeah.
So there's not even a razor on the billboard. It just says Dollar Shave Club, first
But,
round quality, fifth
that's
round
the
price.
same as the Got Milk campaign. There was no milk on that. And it was in a lowercase, not grammatically correct, sentence, if you can even call it a sentence. And it didn't matter. It's
No.
it's it's the grab, the storytelling, and I love that you said that because on the show we talk a lot about personal branding. And again, it's all about the story. So I love that it's even possible to create a story about a razor because people, objectively would be like, yeah, I shave with it. Big
Right.
deal.
Exactly. What's fun about that? What's interesting about that?
Yeah,
But what if Dollar Shave Club was the brand that pointed out great value hacks in your
right.
life? And you know what? The Cleveland Browns got a pretty big value hack in
Hmm.
Shador Sanders. Well, they hope
Hmm.
so.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, we're just trying to be part of people's lives beyond shaving.
I love that. I think that's when you have a good brand, it's more than just the product. It's you're associating yourself with something that stands for something. And I think consumers are figuring out you vote with your dollars. And um, when you can align yourself with a brand that has heart
Yep.
and, is making good choices, we certainly have seen. the opposite, where companies are just raising their prices. We see it in pharmaceutical industry all the time, where they're, in every other country in the world, the same drug is a lot less expensive, but here in the US, because they can. And I think consumers are really tired of that. I know I am.
Yeah, it's true. And there are brands that can command a premium for sure because they make people feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And there's some categories where that's easier. I just don't see it in
Yeah.
basic self-care. And you got to make people feel a certain way, right? And so if we can make people smile, or we also think of ourselves as a person, right? If Dollar
Mhm.
Shave Club walked into the room, how would that person present themselves?
Yeah.
What would be their humor? What would be their, who would they talk to?
Hmm.
So we think about that all the time, and we want to be somebody, we want to be a friend to people. We don't
Yes.
want to be necessarily a provocateur or a clown, right? We want to be
Sure.
funny, but not a clown. We got to have funny with a message.
That's right. So how has your marketing team changed? Um, Because I mean, I think of like the traditional marketing organizations that I worked with at IBM, and it was mostly female, and it was, this is the way we do it, and it was very systematic and very, we do this, then we do this, and we write this, and does this, and we track our results. And I really feel like that's changed a lot, as has the makeup of marketing teams. Have you seen a change in the way that your team looks in terms of age or diversity?
Short answer, yes. And I'm blessed to have a team that is A, super talented, B, much younger than me,
Yeah.
uh, and C, diversity in all the senses. So, yeah, of course, diversity traditionally means um, how someone looks or their
Yeah.
gender or orientation, whatever. Uh, we have that, but we also have different backgrounds, different socioeconomic backgrounds, different work backgrounds, education backgrounds. So, I think that's a big change is that the last few places I've been, there's more people who are call it business generalists, which I personally am. This is only my second marketing job. I've
Mm.
worked in marketing for now a grand total of 3 years. Ex-
And I mean, aside from the being partner at Boston Consulting Group, what were the other roles you had? Because I think you were in IT and
I
am I?
was the head of IT for Bloomin Brands, so
Yeah.
Outback Steakhouse and all them. That was my first job out of management consulting. And I told my boss that hired me, I was like, you do know that I've never worked a day in IT. And he was like,
Yeah.
that's great.
That's what I
We
need.
we
Yeah.
need somebody who just knows business and can solve problems.
Mhm.
And so, and by the way, if you have an IT job, just have three questions. What does this do?
Yeah.
How much does it cost?
Yeah.
What happens if we don't have it?
Yeah.
And you too can be an IT expert. Um,
Yes.
and then moved over to a cruise line. And that was my first marketing job. I was the head of marketing there. And now, chief brand officer at Dollar Shave Club. But I think if you just said traditional marketing teams do this, this, and this, I don't know what this, and this are.
Hmm.
And so the teams that I've led and we've built together are running in a way that we can do things quickly.
Hmm.
We can try new things, fail fast, succeed and scale. We measure. We don't use the word impressions. We don't say the word optimize because
Hmm.
that doesn't mean anything.
Hmm.
Uh, I have three forbidden words: optimize, enhance, and streamline. Those don't mean anything. It's like say what you mean. Do you mean shrink it? Do you mean more or less? Anyway,
Mm.
side note. But we have a team that's much more technology oriented now. My most
Yeah.
recent hire came from IT, comes from an IT background, and she is the bridge between marketing and all of our channels.
Mm.
And yeah, and she's brilliant and wonderful, and um, that's what a modern marketing team looks like. Is
I think that's so interesting. I love that because when you think of the makeup of a team and what makes a team really click, and I felt this when I was leading teams, I wanted really diverse people. And I don't just mean by how they looked, I wanted people from different backgrounds because they brought to the table different, fresh ideas. And I never believed that we had it all figured out.
Hmm.
And I always thought there were ways for us to get better. And you can't do that if everybody's the same and everybody has the same background and everybody learned the same things. So I love that you think that way, and I love that that's how it's working.
Well, I
Um,
can also ask stupid questions,
yeah,
which is
right.
great. Like why do we need to write a long brief for this? Why don't we just do it?
Yeah.
And my team sometimes hates me when I say that.
Right.
But wouldn't it be faster if we just met
Sure.
as a
Why do
team
we
and
have to
talked
waste
about
the
it?
time on that? Yeah. If nobody's ever going to see it, why do we have to waste time on that? Yeah.
Right. And also, I believe in empowering teams to uh, take some risks. And, that's it's so fun when you see somebody take a risk and it wins and they get the
Yes.
recognition. And
Yes.
it's so much fun.
So I know this about you because we have common friends, but being a leader is obviously, we talk a lot about that on the show. And I know you're a super compassionate, heart-led leader. What are some of the things that you do with your team to make them feel seen or recognized or empowered?
First and foremost, it's celebration of wins, right? It's recognition, whether that's on an all hands call when the
Yes.
first thing we do is, well, the very first thing we do is check in questions because every big team call, everyone needs to say something.
Yes.
And so we all, even if it's what's your favorite book, everybody says something. But then we do a set of shout outs
Mhm.
and I just sit back and there can be dead silence. And I just sit there and stare. I'm like, nope, somebody's going to give more shout outs.
Mhm.
And then the next thing we do is show and tell.
Mhm.
And you give people a chance to show their work. And it's always unprompted. I'm never asked for anything. It's just show me what you're working on. Show everybody what you're proud
Yeah.
of.
Oh, I love
And
this.
yeah,
So
it's
good.
great. It's how we start every meeting. And then the fourth agenda item is I share back what's going on at the top of the company and what I'm seeing and hearing. And of course, recognizing people and that, but the team comes way before my
Yeah.
big State of the Union. So that's in the big team settings. But then the smaller stuff that I think means more is, and if my team ever watches this, I hope you know that it's not just a process, it is genuine.
Yeah.
But I take time every Friday and I'll pick a handful of people on the team and just shoot them a Slack
Yeah.
and say, hey, I see what you did this week. Um, how are you doing? Just checking in, a small thing. Um, and then also, my sister taught me this lesson. A little goes a long way. And so, our offices are in LA right now.
Mhm.
I live in Tampa, Florida.
Mhm.
I always make it a point to spend time when I'm out there
Mhm.
to engage, be present. Don't just go sit in an office somewhere, but
No.
just be there
Yeah.
and hang out. And I get so much out of it. It's selfish for me. Like I just love being around the team.
Well, you're hitting on so many things that I love. And I think when you take the time to invest in your people, and I don't mean like, oh, what's your career path? I mean, really get to know them and ask them, what are your goals? What are some of the things that you want to work on? And how can I be the best leader for you? When you do that, you're creating trust. And by celebrating your people as often as you do, first of all, it looks really good on you. But it creates this vibe of this is what I like to see. This is what we all should be doing. So it's not a competition. It is a when Jamie does really well, we all do really well. And it lifts each other up. So I
Yeah.
absolutely love your leadership style. And I'm so glad we talked about it.
Well,
Um,
the number one thing you hear from people in engagement surveys is I want to know the work I'm doing matters.
yeah.
And so the other big thing is I always make it a point to share back if a board meeting happened or if a meeting with a big vendor happens. I will always tell back, here's what we talked about.
Right.
Here's the impact that your work had on this meeting. And then, that's part of the show and tell, but always to play back what did your work mean for
That's
this
so
company?
important. And I don't think enough leaders do that. I think so often you're given your marching orders, you do your job, you keep your head down, and you have no idea what happens. If you're in sales, you have a little bit more of a direct line because you can see, okay, that helped us reach our number, or I hit my quota or whatever. But if you are in any other part of the business, you often don't know that the work you're doing has helped.
Right.
So I love that you're celebrating that way, and I love that you're keeping your team up to date because they always want to know. I was always shocked by the people that didn't care. It's just kind of like,
Well,
wait, you don't even want to know, really?
right. Well, and also I think giving people clarity on what are we doing, right? Like what are our priorities? And we have four. This year we have four priorities. And I'll remind people as many times as they need. If you're not working on one of those, what are you doing? Like if you're working really hard, I want everybody to have a life.
Yeah.
If you're
What
working
are the
till 10
four
o'clock,
priorities?
what shouldn't you be doing?
Yeah, what are the four priorities?
It's, boring stuff. But no, it's the short version is getting the Dollar Shave Club brand back to the swagger that we had right when we came out of the gate.
Yep.
We've changed hands. We were corporately owned for a while. Anytime a smaller brand gets absorbed into a bigger company, of course,
It's a ripple.
edges
Yeah.
get shaved.
Mhm.
Terrible pun, but whatever. So now that we're independent again, we can go right back to that original recipe of this is a smart money decision.
Yeah.
We're looking out for you and
Yeah.
we're having fun, right? Like we are a fun brand. Life's too short not to have some
Good.
fun.
Good.
Um, and so, yeah, I think a lot of what our category is doing right now is the shock value of talking about below the belt or a funny mustache or whatever.
Mhm.
That is one man's opinion completely played out.
Yeah.
And it's more of a shtick versus a
Yeah.
real emotional hook. So getting back to that story is priority number one for us this year. The
Mhm.
rest of it is all very product launch based that, you know, everyone will see and it's
Yeah.
going to be awesome.
Yes. Okay, changing gears. What inspires you?
Uh, this is going to sound so corny, but seeing people succeed. And
Not
you
corny.
I had an eighth grade science teacher who said, leave it better than you found it.
Mhm.
And he was talking about like the creek in the, out behind the
Sure.
school. But really, that applies to everything. And the number one thing I want to leave better is people.
Mm,
And the biggest failures are when I feel like somebody didn't succeed, or if it was something that I could have done differently.
mm,
But that is a big inspiration to me. Um, Internally, intrinsically, what I get excited about is when I learn something new.
mhm.
And so this journey of now I'm a CPG direct to consumer guy. I don't know anything about that, but I'm learning.
Yeah,
And I've had my first vendor meetings and I just really, really love that.
great.
Um, so yeah, I'd say those are the two easiest answers.
And what would you like your legacy to be?
Uh, that I made people feel good, that I put people in a position to make their own lives better and the lives of their families better. My biggest success in life is the woman that I mentioned before. I mean, not my biggest success in life, but you know what I mean. A big career
Yes.
win for me, I'd say it is number one for my career, is that I've got somebody who's now followed me to a third job that trusts me, I trust her, and I think her life has gotten cooler because we've
Oh,
been able
I
to work
love that you
together.
said that. For any leader out there that needs some inspiration, you always remember those leaders that you had that made your life better. And if they came to you and said, "Hey, I have an opportunity, come join my team," you would jump at it in a second. Always leave that mark for your people because if as soon as you become a manager, you become the topic of everyone's dinner conversation. Make sure it's good
Yeah, there you
and
go.
leave it better than you found it. I think we all have room for improvement there. That's so good.
And then
Um,
very tactically, I think the other thing I do think that my purpose, I'm a Christian, I believe in God, I believe we're all put on this earth for a purpose and it's been predestined. And I think mine was to bring this topic of mental health
yeah.
to the workplace. Um, because it has historically been very overlooked and it's not super comfortable to talk about, and especially to be somebody who's been sort of out there about
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Um,
Well, I
but
love that it's being destigmatized, and we're seeing it in real time. I mean, I'm having this conversation. I've had this conversation a number of times on the show, with Matt Immersion and Shola Richards, and now you. And, these are really successful men who have incredible speaking careers and have done amazing things. And they both, just like you, had extremely dark times, where they tried to take their own lives. And part of their story is that. So thank you for your courage and sharing your story because it makes everybody better and it makes that conversation easier for everyone. But, back to your story of you nearly burnt out. I mean, you were living the life of Riley from the outside, but so overextended and so stretched thin. And that's not sustainable. So that is no longer the definition of how you be successful.
Well,
Um,
yeah, and the main thing is I was not living my authentic life
no.
to my authentic set of values.
Mm-mm.
And, it's a still a struggle, but I'm much more authentic now. And it makes me a better leader. And
Yeah.
what I try to tell people is, you know, mental health is not reactive anymore. It's proactive. So if I'm going to be, all right, if Tom Brady's at the top of his game until age 45, he has a crazy diet and workout regimen, right?
Sure.
If you're going to be a CEO that has balance in your life and is working hard, leading people with all the stresses, you've got to prepare your mind. You've got to have tools and skills to manage
Yeah.
all of it. And so if you don't have those ahead of time, it's going to be a problem. So I always tell people, like, I don't care if you, that's wonderful. You have no mental health issues. You don't have the anxiety, the depression. Train your mind
Hmm.
and get and have those release valves when times do get hard. Because I promise you, anxiety is unavoidable, and
Agreed.
you just got to have a way to manage it.
So what's next for you, my friend?
Uh, Learning. Just gonna keep learning. The very next thing is I'm gonna be relocating to North Carolina back to my big
Hey.
home. So I'm excited about that.
It's great.
Um, but just keep learning, keep growing. And that's one thing I've learned is just stop looking so far ahead and wondering. I've actually got a tattoo on my hand right here that says
Yep.
1/1. It's
Yep.
one decision at a time, one day at a time.
Love it.
And that's all I can do. So that's what I'm doing with my career and my life.
That's great. And how can people find you?
They can find me on, well, of course, I've got my LinkedIn, but Instagram at mstutts. And if you want to learn more about me, there is a book on Amazon called "There's No Room Service at the Psych Ward," and it's fun. Um, but yeah, you can also find me riding my bike on Bayshore Boulevard or sitting at a Carolina Panthers or Carolina Tar Heels game. So
I love it.
easy to
Well,
find.
guys, please go follow Michael, connect with him, say you heard about him here. And if you liked what you heard, please go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go out to Spotify or Apple or wherever you find your podcast. Leave a 5-star review. Tell your friends. It's how I grow the show. I love doing this. I love these conversations. Michael, you've been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And guys,
Thank you.
get out there, lead with heart, and have a great day. Are you ready to elevate your leadership style and create an exceptional workplace that stands out from the crowd? I'm here to introduce you to a game-changing resource that will transform the way you lead and shape your company culture. It's time to embrace the power of top-down culture. This practical guide empowers your leadership for lasting success, helping you create a workplace where everyone thrives. Get top-down culture today, and let's reshape the future of leadership together. Thanks for listening to this episode of Heartbeat for Hire. I hope you enjoyed what you heard. If you did, please subscribe to my YouTube channel or consider leaving a 5-star review and a great rating at Spotify or Apple. Thank you so much for your support. Have a great day.